again, you should have this list, but these are the conversions you need to know in the metric system. Okay, so remember we're talking metrics here. In the past, you probably learned this stair step, kilo, hecto, deca, your base units, meters, liters, and grams, deci, centimil, all those prefixes that mean different things. I only expect you to know kilo, the base units, so how many of the base units are in a kilo. In other words, how many kilometers, or how many meters are in a kilometer. And milli, really. Those are the only two I really expect you to know, except for we will use centimeters for distance. We will not use centigrams or centiliters very often. We will those other ones. So we're not going to use hecto, deca, or deci at all. So here's the 7 conversions you need to know. There's not very many of them, and they're basically repetitive. So for distance, you need to know that there's 1,000 of the base unit, 1,000 meters in a kilometer. Okay? And you should know how big a meter is. You know, a meter stick, you should have a general idea of that. It's 400 meters a lap around a track. A meter stick contains 100 centimeters. Remember, centa, like cents in a dollar, years in a century. And a meter contains 1,000 little tiny millimeters. The millimeters are little tiny marks on a meter stick. So those 3 distance ones. For mass, using grams. So you should be able to tell me how many grams are in the base unit. What I don't want to know is that 1 gram is 0.001 kilograms. I want you to be able to tell me that a kilogram is 1,000 grams. It's about 2.2 pounds. A gram contains 1,000 milligrams. So that's very similar to these. Kilometer to meters, kilogram to grams. Same thing over here, kiloliters to liters, liters and milliliters. So those are the ones I want you to know. When we do convert from one thing to another, we will use dimensional analysis. So we're going to multiply or divide by these numbers. Notice it's almost always 1,000 we're doing. Okay, we're going to multiply or divide by 1,000 each time. So if I say, and I tell you to go out and run, and you're going to run 608 meters, and I ask you, how many kilometers is this? What you need to be able to show me, you can't just move your decimal, is you're going to multiply by a conversion factor. So for example, in here I put 2 things that are equal, like 1 minute equals 60 seconds, or 1 foot equals 12 inches. I can put those numbers either way. What I know is, since I have meters here, meters needs to go on the bottom, our labels are going to cancel. Okay, kind of like if you have, in math, x divided by x, those cancel, you get 1, or 5 divided by 5. So I have meters on top. This is one big fraction. Meters on top, meters on bottom. We're going to multiply right here. So I need a conversion with meters in it. We're trying to get to kilometers. So I'm trying to get from meters to kilometers. Again, meters on the bottom, so my labels cancel there. My conversion would be this. This would be what I expect you to know. I will not give you this sheet most of the time. So I want to say that every kilometer contains 1,000 meters. I know that seems a little more complicated than when you just move a decimal, but I don't think most of you understand what a kilometer actually is. So in this case, I would take 608 times 1 divided by 1,000. So we're going to get 0.608 kilometers. So 608 meters is 0.608 kilometers. Now if I started one with kilometers, so let's say I told you I want you to run 5.7 kilometers, and I say how many meters is that? Since kilometers is on top, that label goes in the bottom. That makes sure, use your labels that make sure that you put the correct thing down there. I want to get to meters, so I'm going from kilometers to meters. Now my conversion would be that every 1 kilometer on the bottom is 1,000 meters on top. So this label and that label are going to cancel. Kind of like up here, meters and meters cancel, we were left with kilometers. Now we're left with meters. We're just multiplying the top numbers, dividing by the bottom ones. 5.7 times 1,000, we're just dividing by 1, so it's going to be 5700 meters. Those are pretty simple ones. We'll get into some that have 4, 5, or 6 steps in them when we're converting between metric and United States units. But we'll use dimensional analysis quite a bit throughout the year. It'll seem kind of odd to you at the beginning. If we are going, I'll do one more example here. Let's say that I told you that you need to take 0.47 kilograms of sand. And I want to know how many grams of sand you would need to get those 0.47 kilograms. So I want to know how many milligrams. So I want to get to milligrams. Okay. I always go, so since kilograms is here, kilograms goes in the bottom. I would not go to milligrams because I don't know how many milligrams in a kilogram. You might know that, it's actually a million, but we always go to the base unit. My conversion is always from something that's not base to base. So we're always going to a base unit because that's a conversion you know. You know that every kilogram is 1,000 grams. Kilograms cancel the kilograms. If I multiply those right now, I'd be at grams, but I want to get to milligrams. So I got to do another conversion. Grams goes in the bottom, milligrams on top. So I went from kilograms to the base unit to milligrams. So I'm always going to a base unit. So that's why if you just know these always contain a base unit. You know those conversions, you can do all of them. Grams and grams cancel. If I put my down here, a gram is 1,000 milligrams. I'm left with milligrams for my label on top, so I know that's correct. Again, I just multiply the top numbers, 0.47 times 1,000 times 1,000, dividing by a 1, dividing by a 1. So it's going to give me 470,000 milligrams.